Hi, this is Vicki from Learning Home Volunteers. Happy New Year. This is our first learning session of the year. This year, our learning sessions will be 3 weeks long. You can expect boxes that will contain 7 to 11 activities, 3 to 4 custom learning activities, 3 books for your child's library, and 4 books that our storyteller will read out loud to our learners. We extended the time as families have asked just for a little bit more time to immerse themselves with the learning materials. This learning session is all about farms. For most of us, we don't spend much time thinking about where our food comes from, and the little ones probably don't think about it at all. No matter what kind of farm you have, all products go to through steps to get to the next step. A dairy farm needs to milk their cows and bottle their milk. Bread needs to be have the wheat harvested, milled, and baked. Orange and grape juice needs to be harvested, juiced, and bottled. And in this session, we're going to explore this idea using sequence cards, some hand-on experiences, and of course, some games. We hope your little one will enjoy it. We have 4 books this session, and I'm excited to introduce your little ones to all of them. Our first book is a great book for our machine lovers. Every farm, regardless of what it grows, has a tractor, and that's because they're so flexible, and this book shows us how a farm uses it. Our next book is a Pete the Cat series, and he is going to sing Old MacDonald Had the Farm with us. Our next book is Mrs. Wishy Washy, which actually her problem sounds like my house with 4 and 5-year-olds. They didn't want to take a bath, and the animals on her farm don't want to take a bath either. So they run away to the big city. What do you think's going to happen? And then our last book is a fabulous alphabet primer with pictures of words that begin with each letter from items that can be found on a farm. How fun is that? Normally we would start off with activity number 1, but I don't want the ingredients to go bad, so we're going to start with activity number 4, making butter and biscuits. So let's start with making butter. The first time I did this was actually with my dad when I was little, and it was magical. We were visiting my grandparents, and he got me up early to milk the cows, which I didn't do, but he did. We ended up with a bucket of warm milk, and after a while, the milk separates into cream and not cream. We took the cream off the top and put it in the fridge, and then put the milk in another container and put it in the fridge. The next day, we took some of the cream and put it in a jar and shook and shook and shook and shook and shook, and then it became butter and some other liquid, which is actually called buttermilk. To get started making butter, you want to take the cream that's in the tall bottle and pour it into another container. Next, you want to take the Ziploc bag and fold it into fourths and then put the Ziploc bag inside the bottle. Then open up the Ziploc and pour the cream into the lined bottle. Put the lid back on top and shake and shake and shake and shake. Now, this is going to take a while, so don't get discouraged. As you can see on the picture on the right, first the cream goes through various steps of whipped cream. You can see at 2 minutes it coats the spoon, and at 4 minutes it kind of is stiff. Then around 6 minutes we begin to see it begin to form clumps, and this is where the butter is actually starting to form. And finally the butter will separate and you'll end up with liquid, which is buttermilk, and butter, a solid. Magic, right? You can take your butter out of the you can take your bag out of the bottle and then pour off the buttermilk and refrigerate the butter. We have one more step to be ready for baking tomorrow, and that's actually to make buttermilk out of milk. So let's look at that. Now that we've made butter, it seems like it's a great idea to make something that actually needs both. In your box, there's a recipe for how to make biscuits. And the very first step is actually to make buttermilk, which you should do the same day as you make the butter. Unfortunately, the amount of buttermilk we made doesn't cover what we actually need in the recipe. But no worries, we can make buttermilk using lemon juice and milk. So wash out your bottle and pour 1 cup of cold milk into the bottle. Add a tablespoon of lemon juice from the lemon that we gave you and shake it. Let it sit out in room temperature for 5 to 10 minutes until it starts to come together and thicken and coats the spoon like we see on the right. Put the buttermilk in the fridge to cool down, and tomorrow we're going to make biscuits. I'm so excited about making biscuits. So as we preheat the oven to 450 degrees, you want to put the buttermilk you made yesterday in the freezer. Next, we want to melt our butter in the microwave, and in a separate bowl, we want to whisk the dry ingredients provided in the big Ziploc together with 1 tablespoon of sugar. Now we take the buttermilk from the freezer, add the butter hot, and stir, and it should look like the picture on the right. Pretty cool, huh? You can see how the butter forms into small clumps in the picture. And that's going to give us butter throughout our biscuit. Next, we want to add the butter mixture that we just made to the dry ingredients. Stir all the flour until it's incorporated and the batter, pulls away from the bowl. The dough should be stiff and not super wet. If it seems really wet and sticky to you, add more flour, a tablespoon at a time, until it's stiff. Using the smaller bag of dry ingredients, you want to flour a surface. Dump the dough and turn it until it's covered with flour. Knead it 4 or 5 times and then flip it over and pat down the dough into 6 inches square. Cut the biscuits and put on the greased pan or a pan covered with parchment paper, and then take those remaining scraps and knead them until they hold together, and then cut more biscuits. Put those biscuits no closer than 1 and 1/2 inches apart, and then bake for 8 to 10 minutes until the tops are golden brown and crisp. Pretty cool. I hope you guys enjoy your biscuits. Then you can add the butter that you have in the fridge that you made yourself and butter those biscuits when they come hot out of the oven. Ooh, sounds so good. I love these cards. These are farm to table sequencing cards. They take 2 commonly eaten items for children, milk and bread, and show how the process started at the farm and all the steps it takes to get it to the store. Now, each of these cards is separated but enclosed with a paper clip, so see if you and your child can put them in the right order to get the milk at the store. Activity number 2 is to set up your own farm. We're so excited to bring a farm that actually fits into your home. In your bag, you're going to find a printout of a barn, and we want you to take the cereal box that we asked you to keep and using glue the printout so that the cereal box and the bottom of the barn line up. So the bottom of the cereal box and the bottom of the barn are exactly the same. Once the glue has dried, you can cut out your barn door, and now your animals will have a place to sleep. We have provided green felt for grass and brown construction paper for the dirt to grow crops, and you can use the colored tops to be food or crops. It's your choice. If you have some toilet paper rolls, you can make trees or flowers or even a scarecrow. Children love playing with a small world. We hope that your family will enjoy the little farm that they made and while eating those yummy, yummy biscuits. Until next week, this is Vicki from Learning Home Volunteers.